We start with the newly released College Football Playoff Committee Top 25 rankings. Everyone jockeying to be among the top 4, and there is a new #1 in town. Georgia's loss opening up the top spot for Alabama. Bit of a surprise at #2 as Clemson grabs the second spot. Miami and Oklahoma round out the top 4. For the first time this season, a Big Ten team does make the top 5. Unbeaten Wisconsin holding off the hard-charging Auburn Tigers. That, the new CFP top 6. The Badgers finally getting a little bit of that dap from the committee after a 10th straight win. Dominant over Iowa, giving up just 66 yards of total offense this past weekend. Now Michigan comes to Camp Randall. Ohio State laid it on MSU and goes up 4 spots to #9. Suddenly, a path appears to exist for the Buckeyes. Penn State also up 4 spots. Easy win over Rutgers for the Nittany Lions, though their trip to Indianapolis seems highly unlikely, if not impossible. Michigan State falls 5 spots after simply finding no room to run against Ohio State in that big-time blowout loss. Northwestern up a couple of spots, taking care of business as the Cats continue to roll, and they can sniff that 10-win season that somebody up on this set predicted at the beginning of the year. And Michigan, for the first time this year, into the rankings as the Wolverines debut at #24, 8 wins in their first 10 games. Let's get some perspective from BTN football analyst Glen Mason. Mace, let's start near the top, where there's not much disagreement about Alabama being #1, but it's Clemson at #2, not unbeaten Miami, not road-tested Oklahoma. Do you agree or disagree with the committee choosing the Tigers at #2?
I totally disagree. In fact, I disagree with a lot of the stuff on there, Rick. When you talk about Clemson #2, heck, I don't have him in my top 4. And I'm sure a lot of people are saying, what are you talking about? I really think, and you and I have talked about this, but, you know, their loss to Syracuse, they seem like at least the committee wants to give them a pass on that. Not so fast for me. I don't have them in the top 4.
I know you believe in Wisconsin, and the committee appears to finally believe in Wisconsin at #5. Does this finally signal at long last respect for Wisconsin and, more importantly, a clear path to the playoffs should the Badgers win out?
Well, I'm not sure it signals respect, but it sure gives them a chance to control their own destiny. And where they're sitting right now, if they win out, they will be in the college football playoff, because you look who's ahead of them, and you've got Miami and Clemson, and they've got a championship game. Both of them can't win, so they'll be gone. So, you know, I guess where they're at, Wisconsin is finally catching everybody's attention. And, you know, the rap that we talked about, everybody's talking about they haven't played anybody. So what? They just keep rolling, and they seem to get better, and they play just good enough to beat anybody that they're playing.
And isn't it about time, Glenn, that we bury that strength of schedule argument? The Iowa team that they beat last weekend handily was ranked at the time. Now, with Michigan in the rankings, Wisconsin's opponent this weekend, another ranked foe facing the Badgers. Is it time for us to just start embracing that big 0 in the loss column and stop trying to shoot holes in Wisconsin's resume?
Yeah, I don't think without a doubt. And, you know, I think everybody was on the same page when they looked at Wisconsin and said, well, you know, they really haven't played anybody. They haven't beat anybody. As the season plays out, and you talked about, you know, Iowa looked awful good against Ohio State. And then, you know, Wisconsin took care of business there. And you talk about them playing Michigan this week, another ranked team. And, you know, Northwestern, after winning 5 games in a row, you know, they're up there in the rankings. So that schedule's looking better and better and better.
Just a week ago, Glenn, it appeared Ohio State's playoff chances were dead, not just because they lost in Iowa City, but because they were dominated in Iowa City. Now, they're suddenly back inside the top 10, and because of all those top 10 losses this past Saturday, there appears to be a path to the playoff for the Buckeyes. It's unlikely, I know, but how clearly can you see it?
Well, you know, I wouldn't have given them a chance, and heck, a week or so ago. But now when you look at it and where they're sitting and who's ahead of them, you know, they got Notre Dame ahead of them, but they don't play a championship game. So I think that's going to hurt them in the long run. I've already mentioned about, you know, Miami and Clemson having to play each other. And if the Buckeyes win out and Alabama wins out, I think they're going to sneak right back into the playoff.
Obviously, the one thing that we can guarantee, there are no guarantees over the final couple of weeks of the regular season and, of course, championship weekend. Great stuff, as always, from BTN football analyst Glen Mason. Mace, appreciate your time. Great to catch up, my friend.
Okay, buddy. See ya.